Hello everyone. It's me, Sarah, that divination witch. I hope you're doing well. And I'm back with another episode in the Keys to Life podcast. And we're joined here with a wonderful lady, Murnana. I've known her through Instagram for a little while. And I thought, I'm going to ask this lovely lady to come onto the podcast and share her journey. If you're new here, this podcast, it's all about learning about different spiritual paths, because there's no right or wrong answers here, and just getting to know different people from around the world and different practices and all that kind of stuff. So if you like that, please hit subscribe. And if you want to support the channel or the podcast further, I've got my link tree down below with my shop, my Patreon, etc. I'm going to link Murnana's Instagram. She is a wonderful artist. I'm just shouting her out. I've got some of her stickers, haven't we? So go check her out. Go check out her work. Thank you. Hi, Murnana. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm doing super well. I'm super happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to have you here too. Well, this is going to be a loaded question, I guess. So, how did you start your practice? So, what is your practice? Let's start there. What do you do?
Well, my practice has changed quite a lot throughout the years because I started in my late teenage years, I would say. I was maybe 14, 15 when I started, messing around, looking for the meaning of different herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, just getting some books I found. But what I'm currently on is on the death path, actually. I'm a death worker. I am a psychopump, which means that I help spirits cross to the other side. When they pass away, I sometimes they just give me the call, and I will help them get to the afterlife.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, I'm also a Kinin woman or Mourning Woman. In my country, we have a different name for it. We call it planidera. And my great grandma was one of them. So through the studies of mourning traditions that I have been initiated on, and Kinin traditions from Ireland, which are very similar to our Spanish tradition in some stuff. So I'm trying to reconstruct her legacy and bring back the movement of a more death positive society, maybe, to my country.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That is amazing. I've seen some of your stuff on Instagram, and I've wanted to know more about it for the longest time, but I thought I'll save it for now, to be honest. Yeah. So you said your path's changed a lot, and I vaguely remember seeing stuff. I think that's how I found you, about like the Norse side of things. So is that where you started as well, or
no? I started on no, I started on the Celtic path, actually.
Oh, wow.
I also was interested in Wicca at first, but I found out it was not for me. Right after I found Celtic paganism, I was more aligned with that. And I was a very devoted Celtic pagan until the pandemic, which is when Freya came to my life.
Oh.
And she claimed me. She was like, "You're going to work with me." She just came into my dreams. She presented in a dream, and I didn't know who that lady was. I was just mesmerized by her beauty and the hundreds and thousands of cats that were around her. So when I woke up, I was like, I think I have to do some research on this.
Yeah.
I think this means something. And that's how I ended up in Norse paganism. I am also a Norse pagan with a focus on working with Freya and the Jotnar, especially Hela and Angerboda.
Yeah, they're all amazing ladies, all
Yeah.
of them.
Yes.
I mean, I've had some experience with the Norses. That's my ancestors, and I dabbled with that path for a while. Well, I think dabbled will be the wrong word, but I followed that for a while. But hecate has always been in my life. I think that's probably why I was drawn to you as well. I think the Norse are fascinating because a lot of their deities and a lot of their culture is around, which circles back to what you said at the start, around death, around being a psychopomp, because even Freya isn't she? So how did you go from practicing, following the Norse path, and now, getting in touch with your ancestral roots and doing what you're doing now?
So it was in fact thanks to goddess Hela that I got into the death path, and I discovered that it was my real path, my meant to be path.
Yeah.
It was the path that I was expecting the least from
Yeah.
all of the ones I have heard about. I had never imagined that I would end in the death path. So I think death workers will. This is, of course, from my perspective, but I think death workers will inevitably find their ancestors at some point. And well, I found my grandma and my great grandma. My grandma has been with me since I was little, and her mother appeared to me and she revealed to me that she was a Mourning Woman, a Keening woman in her late years of life. And this was just right after I got initiated with, I don't know if you know her, she goes by Mirkrida on Instagram. I went to study abroad to the Netherlands, and I got initiated with her. And right after getting initiated with her, everything started happening. All of a sudden, I had my great grandma telling me that she was a Keenan woman and that she wanted me to be a Keenan woman and bring back the tradition to the family. But that didn't separate me from the Norse gods. So I just combined both practices. So my strong ancestors, I call them strong ancestors, as my mentor Mirkrida calls them. Strong ancestors are the ones who are the closest to you and will help you the most. And in their lives, they had to maybe fight against the family tree traumas and be trauma solvers themselves. So my great grandma and her daughter, which is my grandma, were strong ancestors. They succeeded at many things, but now I am next. So they are very comfortable with the fact that I am working with Norse goddesses. They don't really mind. I know that some of my ancestors would be very pissed. That's why I don't work with them. So the ones that are accepting are in my space as well. And I honor I basically chose to keep honoring the Norse goddesses because they are the ones that have taught me everything I know about death and dying and have guided me throughout the process.
Oh, I love that. So your practice, well, I know everyone's practice is individual, but you've really shown how you are an individual mixing your own beliefs together, sort of thing, isn't it? That your ancestors and Norse practices that you found, it's like the two connections coming together. Yeah. So when you're saying about your ancestors, because I know I'm just thinking of like the comments, what people might ask. So what is a Keenan woman? What does that mean?
Oh, sure. I should have explained that before. Yes. So a Keenan woman, that's how they're called in Ireland and in Scotland. Mourning woman, or in Spanish, plañideras. they were basically women who would publicly weep and mourn at funerals, or when somebody died. So they were paid for the job,
Yeah.
and many of them were poor, so that job would get them the money, and just found out that they were in many occasions nomads as well. They traveled a lot
Yeah.
between maybe towns to offer their services,
Mm-hmm.
and they would cry for really anyone who would need it.
Oh,
And in my country, this tradition has been very demonized because the Christian threshold is there.
yeah.
And it's pretty sad because they got money because it was their job, but they didn't just cry at the funeral like it was theater. They really got into the life of the deceased person and would help the family, like a grief counselor, moving
Yeah.
through that process of grieving. And the rolling funerals was very important because well, I just said they weren't theatrical, but they were a bit theatrical with all the screaming and yelling and crying, and some of them would even hit their chest or scratch their skin, but it was all in a trance almost like state,
Yeah.
where you're keening, you're basically in a very liminal state of mind in which
Yeah.
you are not really in control of what your body is doing, and you don't really control your weeping or your crying.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the keening tradition, also plañidera tradition in Spain,
Mm-hmm.
include mourning songs and keening songs, and I am getting into learning them. I don't know any of them yet, especially in Spain. I haven't found any keening songs yet.
Mm-hmm.
um so I'm also very shy about singing and using my voice, which is I think my biggest obstacle to get over that fear and that
Yeah.
shame. But I think it's a beautiful tradition,
Yeah.
and they are, because we have to bring back keening psychopumps in their very own right.
Yeah. It sounds very like cathartic and healing. And when I was listening to you there, like just the feelings I was getting, it's healing for, the spirit themselves, the deceased spirit, any loved ones in the living and in the dead. I feel like it's really would you say, well, it really is. You are the go between. You are this connection between life and death, and through singing, as you've said, and wailing and making sounds like that, it's releasing, isn't it? It's very much like releasing sadness. And well, would you say it's always sad? In a strange way, it sounds like it might be happy in a way, like a sort of respect.
um, to me, this path is a lot about how sacred sadness is.
Yeah.
um, some people have told me, but that must be really sad to be sad all the time, to cry all the time. It's it's not, and yet it is. It is sad,
Yeah.
but it's sacred, and I don't feel sad all the time. i
No.
I become sad, like you said, to respect the soul. And it is very important to notice how Mourning women, kinin women, plañideras, would make this also, so the people attending to the funeral would not be ashamed of expressing their own feelings aloud. And
Yeah.
it opens a very big portal, because when you go to a funeral, and maybe you were not that close to the deceased, but
Yeah.
maybe that keening and that collective grief. I always say that grief is collective and that death is collective.
Mm.
It's very empowering in that sense. That has taught me about community a lot. and about how we need to fight this more individualistic pose that we have in our most contemporary societies. We need to be together. So the Kinin women start picture it. The Kinin women start their singing. They start their weeping, doing this very theatrical yet mystical act of sacred grief. So you are there, and you maybe didn't know that this is in person. Maybe you are the friend of a friend of a friend that was invited to the funeral, as it usually happens. But then it connects to grief that you have been accumulating and that you haven't been able to express before. So it opens that portal, and you grieve your own grief. And it's not egotistical at all to cry because the death of somebody reminds you of the death of your maybe your pet, maybe your grandma, or even yourself, the day you will eventually die.
Yeah. No, I love hearing about this, because I do think society in general, I don't know what it's like in Spain. I can imagine it being a bit more stricter in a way through history, but we repress a lot of emotion, and death is taboo in a lot of cultures to talk about. And I know myself, it's funny how we've connected, because I work with death goddesses. I've even worked with Hell myself for a bit. I'm embarking right now, which you could probably help me with, on a new connection with the Morrigan. Like, she stepped into my life. All these amazing deities, because a lot of them are goddesses, but not all of them, are so important and venerated. But nowadays it's like, I don't know, to cry is to be weak, isn't it? In general, that's what it seems like. So no, I greatly respect that, and I love the way you've explained it and talked about how it is, what it means to you and other people as well. I think it's beautiful in its own way. And I'm sure I am new to Celtic paganism, so it's funny you've started there. I'm sort of ending up there right now, you know. But I'm sure I've seen it in other cultures as well, as in like the Far East, they have people like that. And it just shows how, yes, okay, your ancestry might, well, your near strong ancestors might be from Spain, but you've still got connections with other areas of the world, and we all do. And that's beautiful, because we're all the human race, aren't we, at the end of the day? Yeah. So is there anything else that your practice entails at the moment? So obviously you're a psychopomp. I know for me, I help the dead too. Sometimes I move on spirits. I know you briefly mentioned that. Hecate brought one to me the other day. That's for me, it's not a ceremony or anything like that. It's just using my abilities. I help whoever comes to me. So do you do the same? Do you do anything a bit different, or?
So I mean, whenever I get this question, I always say it heavily depends on the case. It's very important for me as a psychopomp to analyze the case that I get when someone comes to my space and needs help for crossing. I have to first analyze if the death was traumatic, if it was more soft, maybe in peace. But I either do it with mediumship. Sometimes a spirit needs a conversation to move on. Maybe a little push will do for them, but others need certainly more help. So sometimes I do it by shamanic trance, actually, because you already know I am a Seder woman as well. I practice Seder. So by trance work and shamanic journey, I accede to the other side of the veil. So I help them cross the river You can see in many mythologies that a river figures is told to appear as the barrier between the living and the dead. Well,
That's right.
that is very much adequate. So I just help them cross the river, and sometimes it will not be myself. It involves shape shifting. Sometimes I will find a bridge, and sometimes I will just tell them, you know what, just wait here and somebody will pick you up eventually.
Yeah.
It's also I rely very heavily on Hela and her criteria. Most of the times when I have a mission, let's call it like that, when I have a Psychopump mission that will involve this trans journey to the other side, she will give me the details, and she will let me know what I got to do. If I just maybe leave them by the river and someone will pick them up, or I have to take them myself, or whatever it might be, Hela will tell me. And I trust that. I also have my spirit companion. When I'm tired, because a Psychopump gets very tired.
Oh yeah.
And gets very sleepy. So sometimes I'm not in the mood, and I'm like, you know what? Go to my go to my spirit companion. He will help you. So that's very helpful to have as well. He is great help.
Oh, that's good. For me, I am always tired. Like the other night, it's funny listening to you because there's parallels, even though our practice is different. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like listening to me because Hecate brings them to me and I listen to her and I trust in her. But Hecate and Hel, I mean, I've had experience with Hel. They really get along, similar ladies, similar archetypes in a way. So I really get that, but also the tiredness. Yep. And do you ever get woken up in the night off spirit? Like the other night, I had a young girl come to me. It was a pretty easy crossing. You could say she was ready. And she just kept waking me up and waking me up. And I'm like, oh, do you ever feel like sometimes I feel a bit in denial? I'm like, right, I know there's someone here, but let's not acknowledge it right now. you know?
I must admit that I do that sometimes. I will just wake up and see. I remember that when I was studying abroad, I was in my dorm room, which I shared with another girl.
Oh no!
So I was woken up in the middle of the night, and I see this young woman with a little boy standing in the corner of the room, and I just looked to the wall and I closed my eyes and I pretended like nothing happened, like I hadn't seen that, because I was too tired. It was 4 a.m. and I had class next day, so I was like, not today, babes, not today.
I love that. Not
Go
today,
find
babes.
another one. Go find another Psychopump. There must be another one on the street.
Yeah,
I
not
cannot
today,
be
babes.
I cannot be the only close one to your location.
Yeah.
Find another Uber, baby. Another Uber driver.
Another Uber.
Yeah.
It's funny that we become more desensitized, don't we? Like over time, you're more and more used to this. And it kind of goes back to how your practice is linking in with how, we should desensitize death itself, because that's the one thing that's going to happen to us all. And it always has happened.
Yeah.
And that's not to sound morbid or whatever. We shouldn't make it taboo. All of these things, they are around us all the time. Like,
Yeah.
it should be more open. Yeah. Uh, there's something I want to ask you because this is a personal, I am curious question through
Yes.
following you on Instagram. So I know obviously you've got a close connection with the like Hela and the Norse deities, but deities wise, I've seen this beautiful goddess that you've illustrated before, and I'm like, who is this lady? And I want to know about her.
Oh.
And I think you might know who it is. She's an Iberian goddess, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh, who is that? Like, I just want to know.
Who is the one you mean?
I think she wears. I don't know if it's someone like I can vaguely see a illustration behind you. She has like a red dress. I
A
think
red
you've illustrated.
dress.
I think.
Oh, so is it maybe the one with the golden crown and the rays of light behind her with
Yeah,
her
I think so.
ribbon, like
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
with a red dress and a purple shawl?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's her name is Iberia.
Oh, she's called that.
Yeah, and she's the name we give to the goddess in this territory. In my country, we have oh, I just hit it myself.
That's okay.
So in
Don't
my
hurt yourself.
in my country, we call her Iberia because we are called the Iberian Peninsula.
Yeah.
So she is the embodiment of our land and our territory.
Oh,
She is the mother goddess of our land, and around her there is a tradition that is called the Wheel of Iberia, that is sisters with the Wheel of Avalon.
Oh yeah.
So Iberia would be the equivalent to Lady of Avalon.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
the center of our wheel, but she
Yeah.
also has aspects for each season of the year and each festivity.
Oh yeah.
So she's not just triple, but
She's
eight.
everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's everywhere. She's maiden, she's mother, she's lover, she's crown, she's fire, she's air, she's water, and she's earth. And she is present, ever present in our territory. She's the land we
Yeah.
stand upon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't really work with her. I just worship her.
Yeah.
So I can tell that she's a very kind and loving goddess. Her kindness is immense. She's one of the kindest goddess I have ever met.
Yeah.
Um, and I I think my words are not enough to describe such a big concept, because she embodies so many things. She's also she's my land, but she's also the land of my ancestors. Uh,
Yeah.
so she's very ancient, and
Yeah.
she's this spirit that has lived through all the civilizations that have come to our peninsula. She
Yeah.
survived. Maybe she was hidden, but she remained there because she's the land. So she was there
She's
between
seen
the
it all.
Romans, the Celts, uh, when the Muslims were here.
Yeah. All of it.
So she's been here with everyone, and she
Yeah.
has welcomed everyone into her embrace. She's a very all-loving goddess,
Yeah.
and I would encourage anyone who wants to approach Iberia to do it, because
Yeah.
he will most definitely be kind to you. And she was also very excited about more people getting in touch with her. Last time I contacted her, it was in fact yesterday.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah, right. Yesterday we had the Day of the Goddess, so I
All
went
right.
to the local temple. And we had a very big celebration with a market, and we had the privilege to have one of the 9 priestess that founded the tradition of the Wheel of Iberia,
Oh
and
wow.
that lit the flame of Iberia. And she told us this story about how she and her 8 sisters took some of their hair and put it with some herbs, and then using a crystal and the sun, they lit the fire.
Wow. Oh, I love that.
And that flame has been lit ever since. And she embodied Iberia right in the temple, and she gave us a direct message from her. And I cannot share the whole message because it is more private thing. But what I can and I feel like I must share is the part where she said, "Please don't forget me. Please don't forget the goddess. Don't forget the goddess. Whatever her name might be for you, don't forget the feminine divine. You
Yeah.
may know her as Diana, as Morrigan, as Inanna, as Freya, as Iberia, but whatever her name is for you, don't forget her and keep
No.
her flame lit in your heart."
Yeah. You've given me goosebumps with
I'm
that.
getting goosebumps as I'm telling.
Yeah. As she's definitely here, isn't she? Like, ever since I saw your picture, I think the first time you illustrated it, I felt a calling to it. And I just knew, see, with my work and what I do on my YouTube, I don't know how familiar you're with it or not. That's okay. But Hecate has got me exploring, different concepts around the divine feminine. And she herself, Hecate herself, I mean, she's my main goddess, but she's not just Greek goddess of magic. She predates that. She's found in everything, and through my work doing readings for people, I do a lot of deity confirmations. I've met and I had the privilege to meet deities from so many cultures. I will have met some from Iberia, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I haven't met her herself, but like other people. But what I've come to find is they're all the same energy, but maybe a different phase, because Iberia is important to the Iberian Peninsula, like you've said, explained all of that. The Greeks, Hellenic Greeks, might have called her Gaia, someone else might call her Holy Sophia, like you've just named all of that. She is like, she gave me Holy Sophia vibes, to be honest. She made me think of Sophia and Frigg, because Frigg's one of my deities, and it's that mother. She is us and we are her. She's everything. Is like you've said, not just triple, everything, life, death, everything in between.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thanks for sharing that as well. Uh, is there anything else? I don't know. Is there anything else you would like to say or like to share with people?
Not really. I'm just very grateful that I had this space to share more about my practice and talk a bit about death work and a more optimistic approach to working with death, the dead, and the dying. Um, I just want to tell people, don't be afraid of death. And this is not just, the typical phrase of "don't be afraid of death" because we are all going to die. It goes far beyond that. Don't be afraid of the dying because they need us, and don't be afraid of touching the deceased. If you are maybe in a home funeral, don't be afraid of speaking their names. Don't be afraid of loving again when grief is in your heart, for grief is the other side of love, to me, the other side of the coin.
Yeah, it is. You're right. I've never thought of it that way, but it's true. It shows you had a very strong feeling for that person.
Yeah, and just as I talked about Iberia, to me death is also mother.
Yeah.
um, Mother death is our own mother. She's mother to all, and to that's why to her we all shall return,
Mhm.
um, I feel like since I am in contact with mother death and working with death, I am much more enjoying my life. I am a more mindful person and a more compassionate person towards others and towards myself.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to approach death, because she will give you comfort and perspectives that you maybe didn't consider about life. And um, it's quite ironic that whenever I feel like maybe life is getting hard, um, I had quite a difficult life, but I'm not going to get into that. So sometimes I just get a little hopeless. And when life gets hopeless, it is death that will come to me and remind me to live it to the fullest.
Yeah, I agree. And I've never thought of it in those words, but that's exactly what I feel for. I call her hecate, but you might say something else. Hell, I thought of Santa Muerte when you were saying that as
Yeah,
well. Someone like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I was not going to mention her because I was like, I'm gonna start speaking again. But Santa Muerte is also included in my practice because I have Mexican family,
Okay.
and yeah, and their practices, like their culture merged. They're not my blood family, if that makes sense. They came,
Mm.
they married our family,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
their practices merged very beautifully into my family tree. And of course, I consulted with Mexican practitioners that work with Santa Muerte. And as far as I'm concerned, Santa Muerte is not a closed entity, but um, we have to be on the lookout because some parts of work with Santa Muerte are closed.
Yeah.
So that is the domain that I'm not touching or entering. I just have her as this concept of mother death,
Yeah.
and that's it. Because
Mm-hmm.
we have to know our place as white practitioners, you know.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I agree.
But if Santa Muerte calls to any of the people that might be listening to this and are not sure if Santa Muerte is closed or open, um, I would say that her death aspect, her as the embodiment of death force, it's open, and we are all, in
Mm-hmm.
words of a very very wise practitioner that I consulted.
Yeah.
It's mother to all. So
Yeah.
in that sense, we can all approach her.
Yeah. That's what I feel as well. And just to add my thing on that, because I've been asked to speak about Santa Muerte and I've actually recorded a couple of things. Uh, I have never worked with her. It's not my place. I don't have any family from there. I might have had a past life there. You never know. But I don't have a connection with that. But I respect her greatly, of course, because I do see similarities with her and Hecate and other deities. And to be honest, in my view, and when I do readings for people, spirit doesn't see the color of your skin or your ancestors or anything. Spirit's spirit, but we must definitely 1,000% respect closed practices because there are traditions in it. I've had spirits come to me for people from close practices, and I'm very careful what I say. I deliver the message, but I explain, look, it's not my place to tell you to just go work with them. You must consult someone in that practice, that tradition, religion, even depends, and check with them because there are certain things they like that we can't fulfill if we don't have the knowledge. And to have the knowledge, you have to be in that. And sometimes it's not your place at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I agree. And like, it's just funny how there's so many similar. Well, it's not funny, but it's just the way I talk. But I mean, there's a deity I similar to you with Santa Muerte. These comparisons we have is an army who I've got tattooed on me. She's from Shintoism.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a closed practice in itself, but she is the death goddess of Shintoism. And again, there's certain things you might not want to do or touch because it has to be done a certain way.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like you said, all mother, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I also wanted to, well, thank you again for having me, but also tell you that your work is very, very admirable, and that all the videos that you do, and I haven't got any readings from you, but I just by the way you speak and the way you know what you're talking about, it always tells me how respectful you are, and that is very much needed in spirituality. the fact that you
Yeah.
say to practitioners, look, this is not my domain and I should not get into this, so I will confirm the spirit to you, but you can
Yeah.
speak to other practitioner. That's very honorable. um, just how respectful you are, how kind you are, how you put this information for people who might be in need of it. It's just a beautiful job to be in contact with all these deities around the world, for to open the portals. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
you're with Hecate. Of course, you will be opening doors for people.
Yeah, that's the job. It's like you're doing your work and you're opening portals in your way. Like I've seen some of the things you've posted on Instagram, like, wow, that looks so beautiful. Like, and you mentioned a temple there. I mean, there are things in England and the UK, but it's not maybe quite local to me. I'm more solitary. I help people this way. I feel it's my I don't want to blow smoke up my own butt here, but I feel it's my job to help lost soul. That's Hecate's job. She's the psychopomp. She helps lost souls, and I've seen lost souls. You have too, from what you've said. I would not want to be a lost soul, So I help people, yeah, who have passed, but also who are still alive, and help them find their own way. And that's what this podcast is about. Because thank you so much for being here. Your episode number 2. I've got more people coming on from all sorts of walks of life. Got left hand path people, and I've got a lady coming on here who's in her crone years, and
Oh,
you know,
wow.
yeah, like people who are maybe just a tarot reader. Not that there's any just about it, but different
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, and I think that's beautiful. And I think it's beautiful what you do too. To help people. So.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here too. Thanks for
Thank you for
agreeing to
having
be
me.
here. Oh, no worries. Okay, well, thank you, and I'll sign it off. So, thanks for being here. This is what I say at the end of my video. Stay safe, stay witchy. Bye.